Art is alive and thriving. Film is far from dead. As you can tell by the title, we are talking about the film Sinners. Today they did their absolute biggest one when it comes to this production. I have my laptop because I took so many notes because class is in session. This, I could honestly write a thesis paper. Honestly, maybe this is my dissertation. But I really was so invested in the layers of this film. Like, this was a masterclass on storytelling. They all just did such a phenomenal job with this movie. So I'm not typically a fan of horror, but I made sure that I saw this movie twice. Honestly, I want to see it a third time. The first time I just saw it in regular, like, digital format. The second time I saw it in IMAX. And honestly, in my personal opinion, IMAX made a difference. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I felt more immersed in the experience. And there are a few theaters, like when it first came out, that were showing it in a specific like format, and I really wanted to go, especially because they were giving away like film strips as like souvenirs for all those who attended like those special IMAX. And I think there was only like 10 or 12 in the world. But the movie did so good that they're putting it back in IMAX. And I'm like, is this my chance? Maybe I need to go to one of those theaters and see it. As I said, everyone really gave their all for this project, and it shows. Let's give a round of applause to everyone. Director, camera crew, actors, actresses, CGI, I think that's how you say it, dialect coach, everyone involved, everyone. Even if you were just an intern, everybody's work showed up on the screen in such a phenomenal way. It's so good. We're gonna get into it. This film has been living rent-free in my head since it came out. Since I saw it, it has been living rent-free in my head. So let's get into some of the people involved in the project. First and foremost, the man of the hour, Ryan Coogler. Step to the front of the room, step to the front of the room. You are so talented. Director, producer, writer, and now I'm giving you a new title as professor because you absolutely took us back to school with this project. Honestly, every film that he's written and directed, I'm pretty sure I've seen in the theater. Fruitvale, Black Panther, Creed, and the sequels obviously to the last two. But yeah, if Ryan Coogler's name is on the project, baby, I'm front and center. He also has a new project coming out. It's like a spinoff of Black Panther. He is so talented. Thank you for just really expanding the way we think and sharing your passion, your talents with the world. I'm impressed. I know a lot of us are impressed. And who knows, maybe one day I will work with you. Anything is possible in this life. And in the meantime, I'm just excited to keep enjoying your projects, learning so much, putting things into practice, and again, making my brain think in ways that I didn't even think possible. So yeah, claps for Ryan Coogler. I want to highlight Ludwig. He is composer extraordinaire. He has been involved in some amazing projects that we've, been familiar with, whether it is Turning Red or Tenet or Black Panther. That's another duo. When Ryan Coogler and him work together, it's another power combo. But he is really, really talented when it comes to music. So thank you for really enhancing Sinners and other movies and projects that we've watched with your musical extraordinaire. Next on the list, Michael B. Jordan. If you know, you know. I've been a Michael B. Jordan supporter for a long time. I think the first project I watched him in was either Parenthood or Fruitvale. Like, it's been some time. But the way he performed as twins Smoke and Stack in this movie, I was blown away. Him, again, when him and Ryan Coogler work together, again, I'm sat. You just say those two, the movie's always good. And it has been amazing to see Michael B. Jordan's journey, like, as an actor in these various projects over the years. So you did your biggest one with this project too. And the subtleties of like how you play, like, because I was concerned, honestly, when I was like, am I going to be able to tell them apart? But it was a clear, stark difference between Smoke and Stack. So next actor, Miles, who played Sammy, aka Preacher Boy. The fact that this man is only 20 years old and his voice, oh, he's definitely going places. First feature film, he was on tour with her, the singer. I'm like, all this at 20? This is amazing. So keep it up. And again, I could go through all the actors, but I just want to shout out everybody else who played a major part with their characters, especially the leading ladies, Rumi, Jamie, Haley, like all the wonderful, talented actors and actresses. Yes, I'm proud of all of you. Thank you for making this film amazing and what it was. And again, my laptop, everyone deserves their flowers. Oh my gosh, I just wanted to mention really quick, if you watched UK Skins growing up and you remember Cook, he played the vampire in Sinners. Isn't this so crazy? Because I didn't peep at first. My sister was like, do you not recognize him? I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, crazy. Now, before I move forward, I am telling you right now, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the movie, and I hope by now you've at least seen it once, please go watch the movie and then come back to my video, because I'm gonna just talk freely and I don't want you to be like, oh, Fatima, why did you? Girl, the movie's been out for a few weeks now. Like, come on. So let's get into debriefing. I just have lots of thoughts, lots of theories, some things I saw online. Like, my brain is overstimulated and I just have to let it out and talk to you guys about it. So let's get into thoughts, theories, questions about Sinners. So first, I just want to talk about like the different love interests. There's like 3 main relationships that I want to talk about. The first one is between Smoke and Stack. Like, obviously a lot of us have love for our siblings, but like to not only have like, this is your twin and they've been through thick and thin together. Smoke and Stack have lost, like they lost their mother, I'm pretty sure before they were born. And then Smoke took care, if you know what I mean, of the father because he was beating them, and he said, I'm gonna finish the job. And they've just been through so much trauma. They've like moved across country, but at the end of the day, they've taken care of each other, and the just love that they exude for each other really shows. And the fact that Michael B. Jordan was able to execute that as one person, crazy. But honestly, like Smoke and Stack are like a scale like equally balanced. Like one is more like serious, the other one's more playful, and they just really jive well together. And yeah, I was listening to like Money Long's Made for Me the other day, and I was getting so sad because I was like, oh my gosh. It just felt like, I was like, oh, like how sad is it to lose your sibling, not only your sibling but your twin. The second relationship I want to talk about is Sammy and his love for music. And I was like, yeah, you know, this man, he's dedicated to his craft, or yeah, young man, he's dedicated to his craft, he loves his music. You know, I thought it was, you know, but then when he was like, nah, I'm leaving town because I want to play music, his cousin was like, no, you're not playing this type of music anymore. You go play the church music. He's like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I was like, oh, he's serious. But when I knew he was serious, the vampire is chasing after you. You jump out of a 2-story building with the guitar in your hand. Oh, you were dedicated to your craft. I was like, oh, he's serious. So I was like, yeah, this man is very much locked into his music. And then the third love story that really stuck out to me is between Annie and Smoke. And they are very complimentary of each other. In Hollywood, we don't see a lot of Black love stories at the forefront, especially when the woman is like darker skinned and like heavier set. So it was just beautiful to see them two together and the passion. And I'm just like, somebody had pointed out online and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even deep this. Like, imagine like your husband is away for 7 years. You have no, this is not the age of like technology. There's no FaceTime. There's no like video calls. You're not texting. Maybe a phone call here and there. Or I don't even think, was there phones at that time? Let me not even say. Maybe a letter. Maybe that's the best he could do, was a letter. But like, that's a lot to go through. And then like, you know, obviously they lost a child, and like that is hard for like anybody to go through. But they were connected, they were locked in, they really were riders for each other, and like that man loved that lady and that lady loved that man, and I just I get so giddy like thinking about it, because like I said, we don't see a lot of representation like this, and we don't also see a lot of different types of Black love stories often at the forefront of a movie. But one of the things that was really prominent to me about their relationship is that she had her like religious beliefs, and he didn't try to like change her way. I think he literally just accepted, like she was doing some of her practice in front of him. He even though he doesn't believe, like he doesn't practice the same religion as her, he still wore the mojo bag. Like that's how much respect that he has for his lady. Come on, somebody. So I was just like, you know what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm starting to get a little bit into color theory, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But like, Smoke's color is obviously blue, and then I almost called her by her real name. Annie's colors, like she was, when they first reunited, she was wearing like a blue dress with like subtleties of red, and I think, you know, there's intention behind that, but it's like showing like the matching of them. It just, I'm like, oh, I'm peeping something. Those are my top 3 that really stuck out to me, that really had an impact on me as a viewer of the project. I have, is it 2 or 3 lessons I have here? Girl, if you could see all these notes I have. But the first lesson, and the most obvious one, is in the title of the movie, Sinners. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, we are all sinners, whether it's done in public or private, whether you repent or not, like we are all sinners. And I think that obviously that is like the biggest, you know, overarching lesson. Number 2, this one is important, and I've learned this and I've been reminded of it a few times. Be careful what you say, because you are speaking over your life. Like, this is not a joke. Speaking of that, I used to be like, oh, my life is a joke. I stopped saying that because and this movie definitely like reiterated that lesson for me. So for example, with there's like power in what you say, a lot of these characters were like giving foreshadowing of like what was going to happen. Like, for example, when Sammy's father was like, oh, you know, come play for church, and then he was like, Dad, I'm still gonna do what I want to do. And he's like, you keep playing that music, you're gonna summon the devil. And then who showed up at the juke joint that night? The vampires. So I was like, And then another thing too, Slim, when Stack was trying to like summon him to be like, oh, come play the juke joint, da 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 da, and he was like, honestly, I don't have a lot of time left to live. And what happened to him that night? Finito. So I'm like, oh no, we got to be careful with what we're saying out here in these streets. We can't just be talking all willy-nilly, because you speaking stuff over your life. The last lesson that like came to me a little bit later, after like really sitting in the story, was we all are one decision away from a completely different life. I'm sure you can think of moments in your life where you're like, oh, if I would have did this, my life would be completely different. If I did that instead of that, like I would be living like, there's just so many things that if it went the way we wanted to, or we made a certain decision, it would have changed the trajectory of our entire lives. And I think this is prominent here. For instance, if like, let's say if any of them hadn't shown up to the juke joint that night, they probably would have still been living. So that's like one of the like major things, like it could have just really changed the trajectory of their life. Another thing is, if the juke joint wouldn't have started the same that day, like, because if you remember, like when Smokestack and Sammy went to go like pick up the truck with the alcohol, Smoke and Stack were like talking about, oh, should we start tonight or should we start like the next day? And they were like, and then they ended up saying, let's start tonight. What if they had just waited a day or two? Like, would this story have unfolded the way it did? You know? Oh my gosh, wait. Another one in terms of like, we were all a different decision away. So when Remick showed up to the clanspeople's like house, and if they would have just listened, like if they didn't let him in, or when the Native American showed up, if the lady would have been like, she would have listened and let them take take the vampire, but instead she let racism get the best of her. And then what happened to her? Her and her husband got turned into vampires. So it's just like, again, you were literally one decision away from a completely different life. And it's just so bizarre how that like played out. Now, let's get into some theories, some questions, some insights. Something that I thought was like cool and like it seemed insignificant, but to me it was important, was when Stack was like showing that little girl a lesson on like, we deserve more in life. Like, don't just settle for the first offer. Like, don't just settle for whatever is just given to you in life. If you want more, ask for more. So when he was like teaching her like kind of like to like barter, I was like, yes, like teach her the value of like, you don't have to just settle for the first offer that's given to you. If you know in your heart of hearts like you deserve and you desire more, then wait and ask for those things. So I thought that that was a key. It's small, but it was important to me. Grace pissed me off, okay? Grace. She really annoyed me. Obviously, she wasn't on the level of like the KKK members, but the microaggressions were very much microing, and I didn't like that. Her husband was chill. He was cool. Like, he wasn't about that life, but her, she was, for example, when things started escalating at the juke joint and, they were like, everybody gotta go. And then she says to her husband, like, oh, we didn't come here for that. Ma'am, nobody said you had to come. You could have just painted the sign, gave it to them, and stayed at home. You didn't have to come. And then also, they could have left early. Like, you could have delivered the sign. You could have helped set up. And then you could have been like, okay, husband, it's time to go. And you could have been on your way. But no, you wanted to stay. You wanted to kiki. You wanted to have fun. You wanted to enjoy the benefits of being surrounded by Black people, but when it comes to their struggles, then you don't want to have any parts of it. And I could say more because that's very much something that happens a lot with plenty of minority groups. People like enjoying the benefits of their culture. There's just so many different minority groups, and people that are not in that group enjoy the benefits. But when it comes time to advocate or be an ally, then it's Pim. You don't hear nothing. Like, come on. So she just really irked my soul. Like, I really wanted to. And the fact that like you invited the vampires in and you only took out one. Come on. If you're gonna be about it, be about it. Like, she just really. Yeah. And also, like, with her only taking out her husband, like, girl, you could have went out and just taking care of him by yourself. Like, I don't know why you had to invite everybody in. She just, I don't want to have a hate train on Grace, but she really irked my soul. So that's that about that. Next, like I said, I wanted to talk about color theory, and with like, there was a theme I noticed of like blue and red working together throughout this movie. And so I looked into color theory, and red is associated with warmth, energy, passion, and blue is linked to coolness, calmness, and trust. So you obviously could see that between Smoke and Stack. Like I said earlier, Annie's dress was mostly blue with hints of red. And then in the beginning of the film, the car was red. And then in the middle, it was blue. And then it obviously, because the day, like, the day kind of started at the end and then went back to the end, it turned back to red again. So I was like, ooh, subtlety, but I noticed it. I think when, if I'm not mistaken, when Smoke was talking to Sammy on the balcony, the front of his vest was one color, and then the back was a different color. Like, I can't remember what was red and what was blue, but one was each color. Oh, Annie's jewelry also was like red and blue. I noticed that too the second time I watched it. In the like amazing dancing, which we'll talk about later, there was a red affiliation and a blue affiliation. I said, oh my God, like, you really have to pay attention to see these things, but they were sprinkled in there. The vampire's eyes. This one, I was like, oh my gosh. They were red at times, but then they had this like blue glisten. And I was like, yo, like, who thinks of this stuff? Like, it was just so like once you really started like looking for things, like they became more apparent. And then the final scene, like in the credits, when Stack came to see Sammy, Sammy was wearing blue, and then Stack was wearing red with hints of blue. And I was like, oh, like it's kind of like symbolic of like him and his brother. And I was like, this is so amazing. And also, just real quick to just talk about Smoke and Stack again, when he was talking about like his brother is like his son, and I was just like, ugh. I just, Michael B. Jordan again, you did your big one, because I was like, how are you? Ugh. Oh, okay. Remick, the Irish vampire. Obviously, there's significance in him being Irish, and Ryan Coogler said in like an interview that I read, he was like, I don't think it's known how much crossover there is between African American culture and Irish culture. Like, obviously, Remick like empathizes with the Black Americans because he has experienced colonization and like being targeted for his identity as an Irish man, like, you know, in the past. And there is a rich history. Like, I even want to do more research about like what Irish people have experienced. I know very little, unfortunately, but I know that they've had some tough experiences here in America, and also, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they colonized by the British? But yeah, I was like, the fact that even that quote unquote subtle detail of him being Irish, like it's significant. Like, I'm like, wow, your brain, like, I want my brain to move like this. How do I get my brain to think on this kind of level? But I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, a question I have, right? Transitioning. So Smoke was wearing the Mojo bag. When he ripped it off, like obviously that was his protecting factor. He ripped it off. That was the same day he died, but he put on a necklace. Was that Stack's necklace? I'm trying to like, you know, put two and two together. I don't really know. There was a lot of foreshadowing happening. I saw online, and I was trying to like really stay offline, but now I'm like, the movie's been out for almost a month. Like, I just need to like start seeing like what everyone's theories and stuff are. But one of the like theories I saw was like the significance of the snake in the beginning, and they said like it's similar to a vampire. Like, it's kind of like foreshadowing. I was like, oh my gosh, like both the snake and the vampire both have fangs. And then they were like, you know, it had to get stabbed, like, you know, at its core to take care of it. I'm saying take care because, you know, YouTube, I don't want them to censor me. But the same way with the vampire, like, it also has the fangs, but to finish it off, you have to have a dagger to the heart. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, and obviously the snake could be symbolic for a lot of other things too, but I'm just like, that was a cool connection that I saw somebody put together online. Also, something that I realized is that like Smoke and Stack, they both had guns, they both had knives, but Smoke was the only one doing the violent acts. Like when the snake, like in the back of the car, Smoke was the one that took the snake out. When the people were trying to steal from them, Smoke was the one shooting. When it was in the nighttime, Stack just had his things for props. He let Mary go outside. He said, here. Like, I'm like, do you really love her? Because why you let her go outside by her own? Like, you could have at least watched to make sure she was good. But you said, here's the gun, go. But Smoke was even pointing the gun in Sammy's face. Like, that Smoke name has two meanings. Like, yes, he likes to smoke, but he gonna bring that smoke too. So, yeah, I just thought it was interesting that he was always the one that was like doing the violent acts, whereas like Smoke just had the things, to me anyway, more for props. So I was like, this is fascinating. It sounds like it was implied, but like also another question, were the twins scamming in Chicago? Because it appeared like, I mean, from what people were saying, yes, but also somebody pointed out online that their outfits were so like subtly different. If you like zoom in, I'm gonna put a picture on the screen, and like the subtlety in their fabric of clothes, like aside from obviously the blue and the red, but like the hat style was slightly like different, and obviously there's, you know, intent behind that, but also the like the fabric of the suits, like they were so intentional with these details. It is so intriguing, and I feel like just diving into the clothes alone could be a whole other dissertation. So yeah, what are your thoughts on like on that? Like I just I'm I'm speechless. I can't even talk because like I said, there is so much thought and so much intention. And speaking of thought and intention, the dance scene. The dance scene, it was like that famous picture, which is also a Marvin Gaye album cover, come to life. And I'm just like, the way that they time traveled between like their present day and then the past and the future, and just bringing like not only Black American like but like African, and it was just so, it was so well thought out. The choreography of the camera, it really, like when I saw it in IMAX, I felt like I was in the juke joint. It was so beautiful. And I could also just write a paper on just the dance scene, but I am honestly amazed. I've taken up a lot of your time. I haven't felt this passionate about a project, a movie in a really long time, and I could go on for hours and hours. Like Ryan Coogler said that his goal with this movie was for us to have a full course meal, and honestly, I feel like he gave us a 6-course spread with plenty of leftovers to take home. Like that's how fulfilled I was with this project, and I didn't expect that. But like I said, if his name is on the production of a project, I'm going to go. I'm going to be invested. And this was more than I could have anticipated when it came to her project. I was so invested that I even like made my own little take on like Smoke and Stack, and I posted it online. Like, you know, go like. I appreciate it. But anywho, yeah, I could talk on and on and on and on about this film. Honestly, I could give everybody their flowers. I could talk about every scene. I could really write a couple papers on this, but I would be here probably for a week, and I don't want you guys to watch a 60-hour video. Again, amazing job to everybody involved. I learned so much. I've watched so many interviews. I've seen a lot of behind the scenes. I'm excited to keep reading and learning and absorbing more. And I want more projects to make me feel like this, because it's really something unique. Again, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Take care.